Hello there, I'm Erin Eno, and today we're going to have fun doing this simple line and wash, but we're doing it with a little bit of a twist because we will not be using black ink. We're not going to use ink at all, actually. So if you do enjoy this tutorial and you want to see more like it, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like this video, also give it a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. So let's jump in and get started. Today I'm using a sheet of paper from my Strathmore 400 series watercolor pad. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and it is a cellulose paper. It's not a cotton paper. This is one of my favorite non-cotton papers. And since we're not doing a lot of blends and bleeds and it's such a small piece, this is perfect for just a decent cellulose paper. I have my Royal Talons Van Gogh paints in my palette. I am using just one brush today. I'm using my Princeton Neptune in a size 4 round. Okay, and then a little later I will explain to you what we're going to do to get the line part of this painting, but for now we're just going to do the wash. And this is so easy, okay? Very, very simple. And I've got this kind of dusty rose mauve color here. I was playing around last night and came up with this color. I really liked it, so that's what I'm going to be using. I'm just going to re-wet that, or I have re-wet it. If I can remember correctly, I was just playing around, but I believe it had quinacridone rose, permanent blue violet, and just a titch of sap green just to kind of knock down the vibrancy. So go ahead and choose any color you want. I'm just going to do all my flowers in one color. You can do multiple colors. It's totally up to you. Okay, so this is just loose and fun. And I'm just going to just do very loose petals. Not too concerned about perfect shapes, okay? Because this is going to be a line and wash, of course, we don't have to fuss too much, which is the beauty of line and wash. A loose line and wash, of course, you can do really tight line and washes if you want to as well. So that's one flower, and I will do another one over here. And just make sure that you just do different tonal values in your petals. This one looks a little flat, but I'm going to go back in with some more pigment and tap that in just to get a little depth and interest to that. Okay, so I'm going to tap my brush off on my paper towel, go into that pigment just with the tip of my brush, just tap some in toward the base. You can even go up a little bit if you want. I just don't want to go too dark because we're going to be doing line work over this. But I don't want it really flat either. I seem to want a lot, don't I? And this had already dried, it's not bleeding out, but you can always just drag colors out. You can lift some up if you think it's kind of bleeding out too much. Not a big deal. And I will do, I think, a little bit of a bigger one down here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, leave white space in the middle. That's kind of important in a case like this. You don't want it going really flat on you. Okay. Tap some more in the middle. Like so. And we're getting a little off balance, so I'm going to put one down here. I don't know how many I'm going to do. I kind of thought 5, but I don't know now that I'm getting into it. We'll see. I think what I will do, so you're getting hard edges here, so I'm just going to kind of soften those up. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but I prefer not to have a lot of hard edges. And maybe I'll put a little bud up here or something. Just a couple of quick strokes for a bud. And I just don't know if I want any more. You know what? I'm going to do one more little one up at the top. Not so little, but maybe I'll do it like a side view or partially turned view. Just have some petals kind of foreshortened in the front there. Okay, so I'm not putting a ton of thought into this. Okay, so that's it. So pretty simple. Now we're going to do some stems and leaves, and I'm just going to do a mixture of sap green. I don't know if this is in camera, so I'll mix it here, and a bit of, I think, ultramarine deep, just to make it a little bluer. I don't know how much I'm going to need. Probably not that much, but it's there if I need it now. And I don't want it too saturated. So I'm just going to start with a few stems. So just with the tip of my brush, lightly go up to some of the flower. Well, not some. We're going to do one for a stem for every flower. I'm just going to do some wavy stems, like so. And one coming from this guy way back here. And then one from this guy here. I'll kind of imagine that this is curving down, so I'm going to come up. And then that stem will be going through to the back. And then we'll do one off of the bud. Like so. Then we'll do a few little sepals around the bud. Maybe some haven't flopped down yet. Like that. And now we'll throw some leaves in. Again, I don't want them too saturated. And we'll just have maybe a couple of sprigs of leaves coming off of this stem. I'm just going to push down and kind of flick up. Maybe we'll do another one coming off that little branch. Like so. Maybe a couple just coming right off the stem. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we don't have to think about, you know, every stem having leaves come off it. We'll just assume they're kind of getting buried in this mishmash of stems. This one can be kind of behind that flower. We'll do a branch of stems coming off this one. like so. That one went a little thick on me. I'm going to have to fix that. There we go. Maybe another one coming down. Maybe we'll plunk a few just kind of in the middle here, just to fill it up a bit. Maybe one off of this guy. It looks a little out of balance, it looks a little tall. I'm going to plunk another little flower in on the right here. Maybe just a totally side view. Okay, so just a side petal, and then some poking through the back. Just like that. So we'll do a little hint of a stem coming off that one. I'm not going to drag it all the way down because I don't want it really coming in that much, but we'll just do it just like that. Just needed a little something out that side. And I think I'm going to beef up a couple of these leaves too. Just make them a little bigger than they are. This guy could be a little bigger. And pigments reactivate very easily on a non-cotton paper, so it's not too big of a deal to go in and play around with the paint that you have already laid down, because I think we can maybe have these guys a little bigger too, because they are to the foreground. I think the leaves just needed to have a little more presence in the painting. And maybe we'll even put some sepals coming off of this guy, because you would see something back there. So I'm going to go back into the original pigment for the flowers, and I'm going to tap some in here. It probably won't bleed because it's kind of dry, but I will be able to kind of spread it around with a clean damp brush just to get a little more tone into some of these petals. So I'm going to rinse and dry off my brush and just soften that edge up. Just like that. Maybe put a little bit more into this guy as well. Maybe I'll just glaze them a bit. Okay, soften it out. Now I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll start the line work, and I'll show you what I ended up using. Maybe you've already figured it out already by the final picture, but maybe not. So we'll see. You can let me know in the comment section below if you had it figured out ahead of time. So now this is what we'll be using for the no ink line work. Pencil crayons. So you may have figured it out already by the picture, but I was thinking the other day that who says line work has to be, you know, black? And I thought we could do it with paint and a really fine paintbrush, but that would just take too long. And I thought pencil crayons would be perfect. So just make sure that they're sharp enough so you get, you know, a good, rich, fine line. And I'm using Prismacolor pencil crayons. They're very old. This was from when Beryl owned them. They don't own them anymore. So if you have Prismacolor, that's why mine look different. And also, this paper has a little bit of tooth to it, not too bad, so I should get it like a nice decent line. So any pencil crayons would do as long as they have a good amount of pigment and lay down a good amount of pigment when you draw your line. So now we just get to go in and play and throw our line work down. So I've got a color that's similar to this tone, obviously deeper, because that's what you want with line work. And I'm just going to go in and start laying down some lines and drawing around these petals. Just like you would with a fine liner. Okay, not worrying too much about drawing perfect petals, okay? And you can as well just go in and do those lines coming in from the center. Remember when you do that, that you're following the kind of the growth shape, the direction of those petals, okay? So you're curving with those petals. Okay, so this one, we want to make it look like they're kind of scooping out, just like that. And another thing to keep in mind, you don't have to do this, I just like to do this. I like to do broken lines so they don't look so deliberate, okay? That's just what I like to do when I do the line and wash. And we'll do our bud here. I like to do broken lines, and I like to sometimes go in and just do a little extra line outside the petal, kind of like that. So this is our side view, and that's our petal kind of from the back. Again, just do some kind of sketchy lines. And if your pencil starts getting dull, by all means, just go in and sharpen it. The tips need to be reasonably sharp in order to get that nice kind of rich, fine line. In fact, I will sharpen this one a little bit just while I finish this off. And do some shading in the middle. I'm kind of rushing this, but if you're not filming a tutorial and you're just doing this on your own, it's really fun just to kind of take your time. It's really relaxing, and just have fun with it, and just no pressure and no time limit. I'm just trying to go a little fast so I don't bore you guys. Or maybe you don't find it boring. Okay, so there's our flowers all drawn out, and I have a black, you know what, we'll do that last. Let's do the leaves. I like doing the leaves. You can kind of see how I made that one kind of look like it's folded over just by doing another layer there. And then you can do veins down the middle. And the leaves you can really kind of go past the color. I did one of these the other night, and I did the stems as well, and that was kind of neat, the way that kind of accents the stems. You don't have to follow it all the way down, you can break it up. But this is such a simple thing to do, and I just find it really relaxing. And I like the outcome as well. It's just kind of free with no restrictions really. You can do some veins coming out the sides of the centers if you want. I don't want to do that on all the leaves, just a few, I guess. Couple last leaves. But like I say, take your time with this. I am rushing. But you know, if you want to do your painting in the afternoon and then sit down and kind of chill out while you're watching some TV and just kind of do some line work. So same thing with the leaves. I like to kind of do an extra line, maybe some dots at the end just for something. Just kind of makes things look like they have a little bit of movement. There's a leaf up here I almost missed. We can add to the little sepals here. And then, oh, I want to kind of beef this up a bit too. There we go. Now I'm just going to take one last pencil crayon, and it is black, and I'm going to do centers in these guys. And same thing as I say when I paint centers, leave a little bit of white in there just so you have, you know, some kind of interest and life to the center. You just don't want a solid black blob in the center. If you have a nice, sharp, strong black pencil crayon, you could even go in and put, you know, little stamens in there if you want. Maybe I will. Just a few. So I'm going to take my time with the last few flowers, so I will probably speed this up for the video so I can kind of slow down a bit and enjoy this. And that's it. That's all there is to it. There is your line and wash watercolor floral with no ink. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and that you found it helpful, or at least fun to watch, and I hope that you will give this a try. If you are on Instagram, as I always say, please share your work and tag me so I can have a look. That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.